Meeting to order at 5:03. You have minutes in front of you. I'd like to have, if anybody has comments on them, I'd like to approve each section, but we're going to have them revised for form so that the executive session minutes don't appear with the regular minutes. So do either of you have any other comments as far as what's in the minutes?
I don't have any other comments on that.
Sean?
None.
All right, can I have a motion to accept them, except for form, when Kerry fixes the form, I'll sign them.
So moved.
So they don't get put on.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Kerry, you'll check that, fix them, and just call me when they're ready, I'll come in to sign them.
Okay.
All right, if there's no objections, we'll skip to James Hoyt of Tater and Howard.
Very good. All right, so I think the first and most important piece of business is related to the Manly PFAS project. So I have a copy here. I don't know, Carrie, if it's in their package of things to sign already. The notice of award and all that.
Yeah,
They have it
they're
already?
over there. I think they're on arts, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to kind of talk through what we have. So we have to have the project awarded by June 28th. So we're going to ask for a vote contingent on approval, but a couple hours ago we got approval from DEP to award the project. So Wayne does have questions on the restricted pack, which admittedly we haven't gone through thoroughly, but one thing we noticed is it doesn't have the the funding conditions in there. So it's something we can reach out to DEP and just say, when are you going to have an answer on what the principal forgiveness is? So recognizing that we don't know that yet, you probably want an answer to that before we execute the contract with the contractor. I mean, we're probably beyond the...
Well, I don't think it's gonna, no matter what.
We're going to be proceeding with the project.
That's true.
Anyway, it's just we
Okay.
want as much principal forgiveness as, we're kind of rocking a hard place
Fair
here. We can't not do it
That's
on the
true.
basis of what we have here.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd like to get you an answer sooner
Yeah.
or later anyway.
No, we definitely want the answer to it, but.
Yeah, so I think what we absolutely need to do tonight is get the notice of award signed and dated. And what that will allow us to do is send that to the contractor. And that will put them on notice that the project is being awarded to them. Kind of stops the clock on their bid bond, right? So they're required to hold their bid for a certain number of days. We're actually beyond that, but we asked them and they agreed to hold their bid price through the end of June, just because we knew DEP was kind of slowing the process up. So once we get the notice of award, they'll then pull their bonds and insurance. So the bid bond will lapse and they're going to get us payment bonds and performance bonds, which is what we need for the construction step, as well as a certificate of their insurance to show that they meet all the provisions of our contract. And then we typically wouldn't date, or I should fully execute the contract agreement until we've approved those. But what we're kind of trying to do and beating the clock is ask you to, in addition to fully executing the notice of award tonight, if you'd be willing to sign the contract agreement, notice to proceed, and give us authorization to date it upon acceptance of the bonds and insurance of the contractor. Does that make sense?
Don't they usually sign the contract documents first, return the package to us for signature?
Yeah, if we had enough time to go back and forth, that's often what we would do. So what we would ask is if they were signed, we would send them undated to the contractor for them to sign, and then we would date them and finish the execution, upon confirming that, everything is in place to do so.
Prior to 28th.
Yeah, otherwise I have to ask you guys to do a special meeting before the 28th, and, where the material of this is all, where it needs to be, and it's really just, an added protection, to not execute it until we have, confirmation that the bonds and insurance are in place. It's just kind of to protect ourselves to not date it and fully execute it till we know that those meet our requirements. So that'd be our recommendation.
So we would actually sign it to send, but we won't date it. You're not gonna date this until they sign it and it comes back.
Correct. And essentially at that point, we would notify you the bonds and insurance have been accepted. We're going to date and execute and essentially send copies fully executed to you, the contractor, and then DEP.
By moving fast prior to the 28th, they won't be putting in a requisition immediately, will they?
Nope. I mean, the earliest, they could put it in would be receipt of the fully executed documents if they have incurred costs, but we would not approve that at this point. There's no approved shop drawings, we don't have a schedule, we have an idea of what their cash flow is because they gave one to us as part of our package to DEP, but there are a lot of things we need in place before we would ever recommend payment to them.
Okay. So we'll have, what's the actual dollar amount? $3,733,605 is the amount of the contract. So the first one, which we would do anyway tonight, the notice of award, which just tells them we're giving them the contract value. And I get a motion to...
Motion made.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed. Date for this one will be today. 17. And we confirmed 2 signs from these from the last one, the last construction job that we did with you as far as whose signatures have to be where. And I think the award is just my signature as chairman.
Yeah, it's
With
just,
the vote, but I'm thinking on the construction contract. Did we have to get something signed off on from town hall in the previous one?
I don't believe so. Yeah, unless you're, because just the last signature is just attesting that there is appropriation. So I think you could attest to that as being true. The only other option would have to be the treasurer, right?
Well, that's the one I was kind of wondering on, if that has to go to the treasurer's office.
I can't remember. what we did last
Didn't
time.
we just get that from him for?
I mean,
SRF?
he did give us a letter for SRF.
Yeah, that was to prove that the ARPA funds were there.
Yeah, that's right, that was ARPA, that wasn't.
Yeah, so I mean, if Wayne wants to hold on to that one and get it signed by the treasurer and then send it back to me, we have a couple weeks, right, to get that sorted out.
Yeah, it's just, we want to make sure we don't have to come back just to hold
Yeah.
that. We'll fill in the agreement effective date at that point.
Yeah, we
Any questions? Comment?
No, you're gonna sign that.
I believe that's what happened with the last one, it was just the chair, so it gets voted by the commission.
Right,
I sign it on behalf of the commission.
right. Worst case scenario, Scott just has to print it.
Yeah, we'll have to find out, and if Scott says, oh, I don't have to, but I think the treasurer is supposed to be the one to attest that, not.
Yeah, I wish, we talked about this in the last one, and I can't for the life of me remember how we resolved it in the last one.
Do we have a copy of that contract? here?
The one
actual hard copy?
for the Dankers contract? Yeah, over at
Because
Manly?
it'll be there, because that's in the, that should be right in the book, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
so
do you
we're
think
looking at a
a
little-
executed copy?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, that's what I'm asking. Since that one worked, it'd be nice to do it the same way, you know,
Right.
you know.
I know.
But especially when we're kind of rushing it, I don't want to run afoul of it, having to come back afterwards.
This may take a minute.
I know, put you on the spot, I should have thought to look.
Don't want to look at how to look up for these. School. It's cheaper than a bathroom.
Excuse me?
It's cheaper than a bathroom. Figured I'd do it before you did.
$7,000.
Don't drop it. The easy ones.
Can you tell?
So is this what we're looking for?
So that's the contract with us. So we would be looking for the contract between you and
Dankers,
Dankers, which, when would that have been?
So they authorized that one.
all right, so it would have been after this. That's all. So it would have been after that. I have to look to see if put it somewhere else. Nope, that's back in the plans, not, I'm looking at another.
That wasn't it?
But that one did have a.
Transfer police. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask what that is.
The what?
The transfer police revolving fund?
Yeah, that's just a line item, that's how we pay the police details.
Because on one of the others it showed up, oh, because it was probably outside details.
It was Bridgewater, that's.
That's
yeah.
why that showed up
Yeah.
separate, okay.
I found it, Wayne.
The miracle of
It
cell
was
phones.
signed by Kathleen Reed, town accountant.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wayne, we found it.
so, but the other part was just me signing on behalf of the commission.
Really, March 7th?
Would you recognize your?
My scribble? As long as it was only one signature,
It was only just the one.
then that would have been me.
Yeah.
All right, well, in that case,
All right, so a little bit more work for you, Wayne. I'm sorry. I haven't done that signature for us.
that's all right. I should know this stuff by now, but I don't. All right, so I will, unless there are further questions, Bart, I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract agreement form to be signed by us and me, and Taylor and Howard will date it when they come back from the contractor and it's ready to go forward. After the treasurer initials it, attests.
Town accountant.
Town accountant, right, yeah, Kathy, right.
She's on.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
What's her contractor's name again?
Bisco?
Wednesday. Oh, it's the holiday, so she's not in.
She's in Thursday, Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Oh, that's right, Wednesday's.
Yeah, she's
19.
part-time.
And you're gonna fill out the address for giving notices as the water department?
Sure.
Right, or,
Yeah, you can fill in the rest.
okay.
And then the third one was the notice to proceed.
Yeah, so this one will go to Wayne.
Give me a piece of paper. Have you seen?
And the notice to proceed, similarly, we'll sign it, and just after the contracts are done and you've got all the paperwork in, they get the notice to proceed.
Exactly.
And you'll date that at the same time.
Exactly.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that goes in there, and these both go to you.
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else we have on Manley Street?
So on Manley Street, nope, I think that's it. Then, obviously as soon as the contract and everything is signed, we'll be scheduling a pre-construction meeting with the contractor. So we'll probably have that at the plant and kind of go through our expectations. I don't know if there are any other stakeholders. We can coordinate that as we get closer, but sometimes we'll have the fire department or police department involved. But in this case, I don't think we're having any detours or traffic concerns, so
No, there
it
should
might be a
much.
pretty quiet one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll kind of let you guys know when we're planning to do that. And at that point, we get a construction schedule, and we should go off to the races. We would expect them to start getting shop drawings in right away. We have some long lead items on this project, so we'll be kind of pushing them hard at the beginning to get shops in for the lead items and
Yeah.
turning around quickly.
So you don't end up waiting for 2 years like we were for VFDs.
I mean, there's still some of that. I mean, they're saying, generators, for example, are, 2 years out in some cases. Transformers, we have projects that are being delayed 2 years because they can't get a transformer, so.
Yeah, it's all the big warehouses. They get as far as they get and they don't have electricity.
So inside, working with the contractor, I'd identify what those items are here and getting them ordered first. So that'll be kind of our top priority once we have contracts in.
Okay.
And then pivoting over to Sear Norman,
Yeah.
our preliminary package is in tech review. So it went through my review last week. I think it's looking pretty good in terms of, we've got a site plan, so you can see what it looks like in terms of the building. We have main level and basement layout plans. I think I kind of showed you guys some works in progress
Yeah.
at one point when I was here, just to make sure we weren't missing any big ticket items. We have swapped everything almost exactly 180 degrees, just based on once we started running some piping, we were piping things further than we needed to for that layout. So by swapping it, we got rid of like 100 feet of pipe. It's like little things like that come up once you start actually connecting all the dots. So it might look a little different, but materially speaking, it's
How are you on schedule?
So it's going to be aggressive all the way out. So it got to me on time. We got it into our tech review on time. We anticipate having it to you guys the end of this week, early next week, which is what we want. But we're going to have our foot on the pedal all the way to October. As you know, last year we were fine on schedule too, and it was still lots of late nights and weekend work to get it done. So, we're going to stay aggressive the whole way to try to reduce the heartache at the end. And, at the end of the day, we're designing a treatment facility from the ground up, and it's a lot of work. So, we're going to continue to be trying to show you guys progress, week after week, because if we slack off for a week, we're going to pay for it. So, it's kind of going to be probably seeing a lot of me this year.
But you did hit yours and got into tech review on schedule
Yep.
when it was planned, so we're not slipping yet.
We're not slipping yet.
Okay.
And, you know, we've got a team in place, and I think we kind of talked about this. You know, staffing wise, we're gonna have to bring in some help. You know, when we have Manley Street in construction at the same time we're trying to design this, we gotta bring more experience into the team to get it all done simultaneously. So, you know, Victor was involved during the construction of the short-term upgrade, so he's gonna be part of the team for the long-term upgrades. You know, but me and Katie are gonna be common elements on all of it because, you know, there are gonna be questions that come up that the designers have to answer. So, you know, you just might see some new faces as we bring, you know, more and more people into the fold to make sure we don't slip on schedule as a result of, you know, staffing. So yeah, that one, I think this milestone is huge for us, this 30% preliminary, because, you know, once we submit this and, you know, we kind of all agree we're heading in the right direction, that's when we're gonna start putting, you know, getting into the details and things that get annoying to design twice, right? So we kind of ask, you know, when we do submit this, that you guys take a look at it, you know, let us know, you know, how it looks, and, you know, give it a good review because, you know, based on this layout, you know, and luckily, I think it's been a very collaborative process all along. I don't think you guys are gonna see any surprises, and I don't think you're gonna have any comments that surprise us anyway, but, you know, just kind of continue that, you know, with the tight schedule, doing things twice is like the #1 killer. So that's kind of the purpose of this preliminary, is to show you that, you know, big picture, we're hitting all of our goals for the project, and now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. You know, we already have chemical sizing, but we're gonna finalize, you know, our day tank, bulk tank, where we bring the trucks in, connection, like all the things that actually make the plant work. But we can't do those things until we all agree, like, this is the process, this is, you know, what it looks like, so.
And you're gonna email those in through Dwayne?
Yep, and then we'll, like, as always, we can mail or drop off hard copies of the actual full-size plans. Because, I don't know, I don't like looking at plans on my computer screen, even though all the young engineers do it that way now, and they'll mark it up in Bluebeam.
No.
So yeah, I think, you know, we're happy there. I mean, as you know, you know, the other big piece of it is how to handle PFAS. So that's one of our big challenges between, you know, this preliminary set and 50% is going to be exactly how, you know, we're handling PFAS. So what you'll see in this 30% set is the building laid out in the optimal way so that you can bring the PFAS in. So you'll see we have knockout panels and garage doors located in a way that we can do media replacements, but also get those vessels in after the whole building is up. But what we're kind of showing for now is a line going to the PFAS area and a line coming off the PFAS area and all the valving so that it operates day 1, but on day, I don't know, 300, you know, the PFAS is gonna be there.
Give us a little longer than
And
that?
it's gonna, you know, open and close valves, but
Yeah.
what we wanna make sure we do between 30% and 50% is figure out where we want that piping to be long-term. Because if that piping ultimately needs to be under slab, then we need to design that today. Because we're not gonna go and jackhammer up your brand new floor that we just built. So that's kind of, you know, 50%, you know, one of the things you'll see as we progress through is, you know, those types of design decisions. So for now, you're just gonna see, you know, our green sand design with how we're gonna add PFAS into it eventually. But what we still need to figure out is, you know, how do we ultimately want those connections made? If they go overhead, that's great. They can come in and do the overhead piping anytime. But if we have, you know, discharges that need to go below the slab, or if we need to do pipe galleries with grading like you have over at Manley, then we need to kind of design that part of the PFAS system as part of this project so that we're not, looking dumb, right, when we're undoing things we've already did. But all that's kind of being figured out. The site work is gonna be a bit of a bear. You'll see that as you lay it out. If you follow the contours, you'll see we're probably looking at a retaining wall or two up there. Just because that whole thing is kind of built up and the soils up there, I'm sure, are gonna need, horizontal support, things like that, but it's moving along. So is there any more questions on that piece?
No, we'll just see end of next week. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I hope before the end of
Tech
next
review
week.
doesn't have a lot that they want changed.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not expecting any surprises, but yeah, we're supposed to get comments back from them tomorrow. And so I would think, a week to turn around drawings should be sufficient. So I would think this time next week,
Okay.
we should be sending something over to you. So I have some handouts. Just kind of talking rates. So I'm going to just preface this and say this is a very down and dirty look at the rate stuff from last time. As I'm sure you recall, the rate study on its own was a pretty big undertaking the first time, and I think I forgot. Time heals all things. I think I forgot some of the pain we went through in making that work the first time. So I guess the reason I'm saying this is I don't want you to take every one of these numbers to the penny and take that as gospel at this point. It's what we essentially have done is on this first page, taken a look at our capital improvement projects. And this is the exact same table we had done in the original rate study, but we've updated it with what we now know are new projects. We actually had forecasted a decent amount of this back in 2020, right, when we did our first crack at it. We had a lot of these in. The thing we didn't have any money on was PFAS for this site. So that was, brand new costs. I think the cost of this plant's gone up, but really, we did have some of these costs in there. And just as a reminder, we break it out by fiscal year, and for the engineering, we assume it's like the lump sum being appropriated. For construction, it's assumed to be bonded, whether it's an SRF loan or other loan opportunities. Those were the basic assumptions made to figure out annually what that project might cost you for if you assume payment at current rates over 20 years.
Now, and this is assuming no principal forgiveness in these numbers?
So that's the big thing is I think these are conservative for a couple reasons. One is we assumed the earliest possible fiscal year that you'd have to start making these payments. And by doing that, you kind of bunch up at the beginning, these first few years. Some of these things might not actually get going for another fiscal year, and that would stretch it out and make your worst year look lighter. It doesn't change overall how much you have to fund, but by spreading it out, even a year or two, it does make an impact on your annual budget. This does not take into account any of the ARPA funding that you're planning to use to pay, and it doesn't take into account any principal forgiveness. So, those are things. If we nail those down, we could go back and take that into account, because right now we're showing all of this is needing to be paid, from your budget essentially. And we know there may be other, sources. You guys have been very aggressive on finding, funding help, which has been, I think, a service ultimately to the ratepayers. So, not all of that is built into this. So what happens with this annual cost is it gets added to the next two sheets are, might look familiar. We did a whole budget analysis originally. And so we looked at actual expenditures in 2017 through 2021, I think is when we last updated the number. And at that point we had, I think, locked in what the 22 budget was gonna be, but it wasn't real numbers yet. And then we had projected forward. At this point, we have not looked anymore at your budgets. We haven't changed our projections. This is just a straight pass through from what we did on the last rate study. But what we did do is on the very last page, we updated the capital improvements piece and added that to the annual budget. So really, it's not worth nitpicking any one of these items because again, it's, you know, we already know some of these numbers are out of date, but it does, I think, within the ballpark of what we're trying to do with this kind of quick look is show you how does it look compared to the full rate study we did a couple of years ago. And we're showing now that our worst year is about $3.6 million, $3.67 million of expenditures in the worst year that's projected. So that went up $800,000 compared to when we looked at it previously.
And
So-
again, these will be updated depending on what we find out for the SRF. forgiveness
Exactly,
and
right. So, I
all of
mean-
the ARPA numbers.
Exactly. So we would expect
Excuse me.
the PFAS to go down. If we could get an answer on principal forgiveness, then we could even assume that to the future because we know the next phase at Sierra Norman is a PFAS project as well. So that should have similar favorable outcomes. We're applying for that, you know, next month. And so, you know, we have already notification, you know, the notification out there that, you know, PFAS projects will again be, you know, viewed upon favorably and hopefully have good terms. You know, if anything comes out of the 3M, you know, that would help also, right? So again, you know, I think we know some of these prices are gonna go down, others we suspect will go down, but for the sake of this, we've assumed worst case. So, and then I guess what that all kind of boils down to is the last sheet. This will look familiar because I literally took the same one from last time and essentially updated it. So, starting in the middle, which is a bizarre place to start, but bear with me, you'll see the existing rate section of the table. So essentially, this is just a reminder of what the current structure was at the time we did our study. I don't know if any of these rates were ever changed since 2021. But in terms of our benchmark, that's what we're calling the existing rates. And then on the left is the proposed rates. And again, I just want to say, we didn't do a super thorough iterative process where we tried to perfectly balance this. Essentially, we had a solution that we talked about last time, which was a combination of raising your base quarterly rate as well as changing our thresholds for excess water and then addressing the rate for that excess water. So what we've done is looked at, you know, essentially we have to raise all of those about 33% across the board compared to what we recommended in 2021. And that's kind of how this was done. We didn't then go back and say, okay, would it make more sense to move, you know, some of that 33% to, you know, industrial versus residential. We just said that, you know, assuming that the balance we agreed on in 2021, you know, was close, we're just making all of those same changes, but 33% higher. And that's kind of what you end up with here. And you can then look to the, you know, change of quarterly rate. You'll see, you know,
It's doubled.
it's almost doubled in
Yeah.
many categories. Yep.
Thanks.
I mean, I guess the one point we, you know, broached last time, which is still true in this analysis, is that your rates are still fairly dependent on excess charges. You know, you're only getting about 40% of your revenue from the base charge. But I think we ended up here a couple of years ago because, as you can imagine, that change to the basic quarterly rate is the easiest to see and feel if you're a ratepayer. So the balance was kind of hit between, how much do we increase the base rate, knowing that I think when we started, only 35% of your revenue currently comes from your base.
Which would be residential 1 unit, is that what?
So I'm sorry, yeah.
So residential 1 unit is how much? 35% of our base?
No, so when I say base rate, that means that no matter how much water is used in town, you're collecting this much revenue. So whether you use 1 gallon or, I don't know what the exact limit is.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, it's the first part, if you don't use your
Yeah,
excess, that's what everybody pays.
Yeah.
but what's the percentage of excess? 100%?
No, well, there's over 2,800. Did I send you guys something?
I remember the numbers, people that were
It
under,
was less, it was like, I think it
Yeah,
was.
you sent it after the
I think it was
last meeting.
155 residential, single families only use below the basic, 155.
So that's what, 5%? And if there's 2,700 units, 105 would be less.
yeah, it's not a big percentage.
It's
No,
not.
No, most people get into the excess.
Yeah.
Right. So a large percentage of your current revenue is people paying for the excess water. And one thing we've noted is that when you raise rates, one of the reactions is people who are, superfluous with the water will pull back. And it oftentimes is a temporary constriction, and then people kind of readjust and it comes back. But the reason why we often try to get as much out of your base as possible, because that's your guaranteed money, so to speak.
Right, that's a bread and butter.
Right. So it's a very challenging balance to strike when you're looking at raising your rates, because you have to get it approved. So it'd be great to say we're going to get it all out of our base, but then the impact of that can make it hard to actually approve and implement.
Yeah, I mean, we'll want to take a look at how we want to get it, because it is a big change on the basic, pretty much on the residential, it is almost doubling
Yeah.
on all of them. Until you get to the larger ones, that's when you're dropping off more to the 30%.
Yeah, so when I say increase by 30%, I mean I've increased these rates about 30% compared to what we had done in 2020 or 2021. But some of them had already increased,
Yes.
in addition to that. So it's, these rates are more than 30% higher than, the existing structure. And it's one of the challenges of playing catch up, as you know.
Well, the numbers are right here, so existing rates 1.7, proposed rates 3.7. Right, for the
Well,
units.
this existing rate is the rate that you proposed last time, right?
No, so that was our baseline before.
That's what the rates were
In
at that time.
2021.
Yeah, I don't know
Excess rate.
what has happened between 2021 and now.
Yeah, because the basic rate's at
Nothing at
60.
this time.
Right.
No, we went up, didn't we go up? to
Yeah.
Yeah,
60?
the
We
basic
went up,
rate's
we went
60.
$5 up
I
on
think
Yeah.
it's 60.
across the board.
I don't get it.
The rates, I can print it out, but it's 60. It only went
Yeah,
$5.
I thought it was 60.
Yeah, we either
I
went
kept
up
looking
to
at the 55.
$5, if we do the others as a percentage, or did everything go up 5?
I'll tell you in 1 second.
Everything went up, I believe.
No, they all went up, I just don't remember if we did a percentage on the others.
I don't think the excess did though, I think that's it.
No,
That's
just on the
the same.
basic.
No, that's not it.
The numbers don't lie.
And that revenue from that projects out to basically what we need in 2025.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess one thing to note is, it's kind of a rounding thing, but you technically only need 3.67, and we're getting, this is showing revenue 3.7, so we could massage it a bit if
Well,
we
and
needed
if we
to.
get better numbers
Yeah, I think
on
it'll
what
look
those
like
construction
5 or
costs,
Yeah.
so we have
That
to
was
cover
it.
that will bring that down.
Right,
For
yeah, so essentially, we were looking for 2.7 in 2021, right, and now we're looking at, 3.6.
Yeah.
Which, when we actually, again, because, we increased everything to get to at least 3.6, when it came out to 3.7, which, is probably the right, you don't want to have your revenue match by a penny, because then you have,
No, but we don't want to be trying to collect 3.7 if it turns out the capital improvements go way down.
well, that's a fair point, right? is that-
That's why for us to go forward with any of this stuff, we need to know those numbers so that we have an idea on what we actually have to cover for
Yeah,
not only capitals as they come out.
right,
Because
no, that's true.
because we might not need to make an adjustment. The capital is not that much less than half of what we'd actually have to cover out between capital and the rest of the budget.
Yeah,
So if that knocks down, that will affect the rate fairly well.
right. Yeah, and I think, you're probably looking at rolling it out over multiple years, right? You're not gonna, go up.
Oh, no, we're definitely not gonna go
50,
up. We're
right.
definitely not gonna do what you've got on this in one jump.
Exactly.
But
So
no,
it's
but
about-
even then though, a lot of these, the existing and what's gone up, you've got Beacon, we're actually already higher than what your proposed rate is.
Yeah.
So we'll have to go through those.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if
Just
you
to
if you don't mind sending that to me, Gary, then
Yeah,
I'd be
just-
happy.
You want me to print it or email it?
Whatever works for you is fine.
To
Because
kind
I'll
of
update the spreadsheet, so at least we're starting from the same baseline of what you have today. And then, between now and the next board meeting, we can take a harder look at, working with you guys on, the ARPA.
Because we have already, not so much
Can you
on a
close
straight
out of it?
residential basis,
Okay.
but on a lot of this other stuff, we have made a jump already.
Okay.
So it's, the amount of the increase isn't gonna look, it doesn't look as bad.
Understood. Okay, so we'll get the principal forgiveness and ARPA into the equation.
Yeah,
We'll get the existing rates updated and into the equation, and then I'll bring a new version of this table next meeting.
yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, this doesn't include, you were talking about doing a third tier.
Yeah, so this is,
Well, that's the super excess.
yeah, it's a super excess.
Super excess.
Is what he's
So-
talking about.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, so if we just look at single resident, I know, I forgot, that not everybody here was around when we did this, back in 2021. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, I emailed it too.
So if you just take residential, for example, anywhere from 0 to 675 cubic feet of use, you're paying $105. And then currently, anything spent, any water used above that gets, billed an additional $10 per 100 cubic feet. So the first 675 are covered by the 105, but then the water use above that, you get charged additional. What the super excess does is say, okay, if you're using more than 4,000,
It is, well, he's going off the old one, we're fine.
Yeah,
You're also talking about bringing them down for the excess.
yeah, so you can,
So we'll have a lower trip to go into excess.
right.
He's got, it's how he has the table. 'Cause
Yeah.
We're getting it in we're getting it in three ways.
I know,
We're increasing the base, we're decreasing what we consider excess, and then we're hitting the excess at a higher rate. So like those three different ways we're generating revenue.
people hate that excess thing. It's the first thing they want to squawk about. And there aren't, when you stop moving that, that's when you affect, like some of the more senior residents have a tendency to be in that thing, because they're the ones that call us when their $5 bill is up $5.
Because they don't understand, like,
Right.
they just think they're being charged in excess.
I mean,
They don't-
Yeah, you could change the name of it if you're doing a brand new rate structure anyway. I don't know what you would call it, but, you know, if there's a terminology issue.
Well,
or not.
I think it
We'll,
is.
we'll worry about what we
Yeah.
call it at the time.
But I will
We'll look at it.
say, you know, the revised number, I recall, we looked at, you know, DEP's recommended
Yeah.
55 gallons per capita. So we didn't just pick it up, like an outrageously
Is that how it is? I
low.
was gonna ask how that 750 cubic feet.
I don't remember if it's exactly that,
So
but I know
55
we looked
gallons
at
per
it.
day is DEP water per
So,
person,
yeah,
right?
Matt, your Water Management Act, right? So that's kind of what dictates how much water a community can ask permission to pull from its aquifer. Assumes, you know, 55 gallons per capita day. And communities that use more water than that often have to adopt strategies to get more in line.
Is that per person per day, or is it, because what this number
Yeah.
comes down to is like 62 and a half gallons per day for a single family unit, which would be 2 people. So you're down to 31 a gallon, 31.25 gallons per person per day.
Yeah.
Am I screwing up my math?
No, I don't know how exactly the
Just-
number came out. I'm sure it says it somewhere in our reports, or if I go back
Okay.
into the
Well,
master
remember,
spreadsheet.
these numbers are cubic feet.
That's what I did the math,
Oh,
like
you did.
7.5 cubic feet, gallons per cubic foot times the math, and then it comes out to like 62.5 gallons per day, if a residential one unit is 2 people. Which is a bedroom, right, on septic system designs. It's one unit is
110
2
gallons per
people,
capita
110 gallons
per bedroom per
per
day.
person per day, yeah.
So right now, only 5% of the residential units not going in.
155. Yeah, 155,
aren't going into excess.
correct.
So by the time we make this 675,
Yeah,
it's gonna be only, it's gonna be 97% of the population.
I mean, you can put in, you know, there's different scenarios you can put in, like, if it's starting at like this for excess, like 2,000, if they use 2,000 cubic feet of water, like 4,000, you know, like, there's different ways to do it. You can still tier the excess and how they charge. You don't have to charge it all for one, you know. It's just how the reports, is how this computer system does it is just strange.
Well, there's no way around it. Either way, we're gonna pay for it. I mean, it's not like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
But
Well, we
revenue's
want to
coming
make sure
somewhere.
we're making the people that are, you know, equivalent amounts on the raises,
Right.
so we're not killing one over another one. You know, again, industrial business doesn't help us that much because they don't use
they
that
don't
much
use
water
water
anyway.
right?
It's very
It's a
small.
single family residential that uses the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the first things we looked at was, you know, are your commercial and industrial users paying their fair share? And we found they were. If you looked at your percentage of revenue coming
Yeah.
from residential, it was very similar to your water use percentage of residential, which showed that your rates weren't, you know, pulled out of a hat. It made sense from a starting point. They're just, you know, falling behind the current cost of water.
No, and there were increases in the paper that talks about huge increases are hitting everybody's books. water,
Everybody,
sewer.
Yeah.
It's not, but because they do it and they don't do it, they do it and wait too many years. Like my budget goes up $400,000 a year, and so you miss so many of those, then you have a huge increase.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're way behind the curve.
Instead
Well,
of
and now
adjusting
that
it
we,
for
where we
inflation.
have all the capital work besides, it's
Yeah,
not just,
now
right.
it's not just your operating budget.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of why we made that last bump that we did,
Right.
was to try to get that rolling. And I know talking to, I think it was people in Rain, they were saying they just go up a certain percentage a year, period,
Right.
no matter what.
That's probably
It's just
the way.
odd, we should, once,
Let's
once,
stick a shot.
once we get an idea, once we hit this where
Yeah.
we're going, that's what I'd like to actually do,
I
is
agree.
to have us come up with a standard raise per year to just go with the operating budget
Right.
and deal with the rates for the rest. But, you know, we're getting closer to being able to do that. And once this gets a little closer, we get a little better idea on our capital.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Because
if
that's a
needs
big
to
chunk of the budget.
Look at the budget piece as well. I don't know if you're seeing, you know, increases greater than what we projected 2 years ago, or if we, you know, did we nail those projections? Wayne would have to look and tell us.
It's hard to tell because with sampling, my budget is just, even next year's is skewed already.
Right, 'cause that's the other piece, if we're gonna take credit for all of the funding, we just make sure we're not underestimating the expenditures as well. Right.
Your projections go up to 2026.
Yeah, because again, we just built off what we had in the last one.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause that, you know, as you know, that contract was closed out a couple of years ago.
What's gonna kill us on, again, is you can't project really with any certainty on what things like the chemicals and all is gonna cost. They just go,
Well, that's why the air tower, reducing our, reliance on KOH, that helps, because that's a very expensive chemical. It's actually the most expensive chemical we use.
so that might actually work out, ended up being a plus
Right.
on that one in terms of the operating.
Yeah. I mean, right, and that payback was pretty good at current rates, and I think that's one of the things we acknowledged was.
And as the KOH gets more expensive, that payback gets quicker.
Exactly. So, I mean, I know it's gonna hurt when you roll up the rates, but you guys,
Well, we have
I
to
feel like you've done a lot to try to minimize the impact over the last several years.
Well, we're mandated to correct the water problem. so it's-
Yeah, we can't not fix what's
We have to
going
do
on with the water.
We don't make the rules.
Okay, so I guess just to make sure we're on the same page, Wayne will take a look at the budget and make sure we're not crazy low already.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just look at 2023, how that ended up compared to what we're projecting now, make sure we're not way off. And then on our end, we'll try to get
It's taken off.
a better handle on, where principal forgiveness is gonna end up, so we can adjust those numbers down. And then I'll update the existing rates to what Carrie sent me, so at least when you're looking at your increase, you get a better feel for how much is actually going up.
Well, it does, because some of them were actually already higher, I think, than we're definitely higher than what you were carrying in the existing by a
Yeah.
fair amount.
I know there were a couple we were, I think, right,
Like-
Fieldwood, RZ Beacon.
Well,
and-
Beacon were actually higher than you're showing for a new base.
Okay, yeah, because
That
it
was
wasn't
in the
clear
last
back
one.
then how that number was originally
Yeah.
calculated.
Most of the other ones were not, but that one in particular kind of stands out. So that could shift back into some of the other ones.
Got it.
Again, like you said, if some of these things blow back on the schedule, that would help somewhat too.
Yeah, right, it's tricky because we're trying to be,
Spread it, I know, we're trying to get it as fast
aggressive.
as we can so that we don't,
yeah, right, you're trying to not
but
wait till 2029 to fix PFAS. Right,
and how have you accounted for the new thing that they're gonna decide we have to regulate that they don't even know what it is yet?
yeah, that's not accounted for. Hopefully we're done paying for these things before that does.
With any luck.
In the meantime, PFAS is still being polluting into the drinking water because the forever chemical there is still being used and it's not prohibited yet, so.
Right.
Go wrong.
That's why we have to take it out.
But more and more goes in every day.
Yeah, but even what's already in there is gonna take a long time
No, I
to get it
know.
out, so.
Yeah.
we're up, kind of almost doesn't matter at that point.
No.
It might mean
Nope.
sometime in the future we can stop treating for it, but it's not gonna do any good for us now. That's it. Any other questions for James on the rates or other things you wanna bring up on the rates?
Nope. Good job, James. Bring us to reality with the numbers.
Now bring us to a nicer reality for the next time. Anything
Yeah.
else, Tom?
No, Thank you, James.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything this year.
Yeah, no, it's been good to wrap it up.
End of the fiscal year. It was a big year for us.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Many more good years ahead.
Yeah.
Got anything else for us tonight?
I don't think so. I think the only other thing I had on my radar was the Walnut Street tank. You know, I think we've provided proposals and numbers, so, you know, we've got plenty to do, so
Yeah,
we'll be ready when you are. Yes,
All
I'll
right,
leave it.
that's the thing, we're trying to work our way through some of this other
Yeah.
stuff at the moment, before
Exactly.
we sign on to new stuff.
Yep.
So the SAL, the short order form, they kicked it back.
Okay.
So I printed it out as a duplicate set. So it looks like they don't want, anything that's going through SRF, they don't want to pay for.
Okay.
So I printed out all, it contained there is all the information that they're asking for. Everything that's totaled up there is not included in SRF. It's all stuff that happened prior to.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew we were trying to double dip. Like, I don't think that's a surprise that they. But I think at the timing was like, do we submit or do we not submit?
Right.
And this was a grant,
Yeah.
and we didn't have the SRF yet, right? Or we weren't sure on the.
We were applying.
Yeah, we weren't
Right.
sure what the principal forgiveness or any of that looked like.
But
So I can completely understand now that we are kind of locked into the SRF, we may not.
Right, but this, so everything that's in there is pre-SRF. We didn't, you
It's
know,
not covered under the SRF
right,
application.
so there are things there, I'm just not sure. It would mean redoing basically the entire form.
This is starting July 2023.
Yeah, so I went through for any costs associated with PFAS and pulled out anything, you know, engineering costs, construction costs, and laboratory costs. So there's all copies of every receipt there.
Okay.
So when you think I'm just sitting down and sleeping in that thing,
Okay. So what do you need from me?
I think the thing, I can't edit the thing.
Oh, okay. Did we send this to you?
Yeah,
I see.
So the idea is to change the numbers and put it back. And
Right.
see if we can get
and
that
see if we
one.
can get
Oh, I see.
everything that was pre,
So
so,
my name right here on the first page.
Yeah.
I should have looked at that before I asked the question, maybe. All right, I understand.
I mean, it's money sitting out there to be had, like, they'll cover the testing costs and stuff like that, I'm
All
fairly
right, So you
certain.
need me to update it to take the other
Yeah.
items out and leave just.
Right, I have totals and I have the spreadsheets, like, the
Do I have that already?
you know, what you see in there, I have the spreadsheets for
Okay.
you.
So if I need any of this electronically, I just have to ask you.
Yep,
Okay. Got it. We can do that.
not that you needed more to do.
Well,
Is that something that needs to get back to them right away?
They didn't put a date on it, but they asked. So, it's not, they didn't say no, they just turned around.
Probably sooner the better,
yeah, we'll get on it. I'll make
if you don't have anything else to do.
I mean, right now, our 30% plans are in tech review, so we'll jump on this before we have edits.
Yeah, before you
right?
get it back.
Before we have to change those. Okay, understood.
Okay, anything else for James?
Any more surprises for me, Wayne?
No, that's it. That's it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Have a good rest of your night.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks,
you
James. You too. All right. Make sure I haven't missed anything going back. No abatements or refunds tonight, Kerry?
No.
So it's just the warrants, I got all of
Yep.
them except for the last one. I'll do that at the end. We did the minutes thing. All through that, while he had mentioned Walnut Street tank for that, have you had a chance to do anything over there about that?
No, we just opened up an account with Bonnie Rentals, so we're gonna actually have to use them for a roller tomorrow. So after that, I'll measure, they have all sorts of kinds
So
of
you'll
lifts.
correct, you'll grab a lift from them?
Yeah,
What's the roll for South Street?
yeah.
I had a couple of people comment on the condition.
Well, I don't have people like Randy
No,
was
I-
on vacation, like they were in school, it's like.
No,
Yeah,
I
we wanted to
understand.
wait, but you know, blacktop goes down when it's hot, so we
Yeah.
were waiting for this heat wave to,
Now it'll melt.
Yeah, right.
it'll stay pliable.
Okay, and while we...
We're doing that tomorrow, so we're.
Since you mentioned South Street, read into this here, there's a thank you from
Yes.
Julie Smith at King's Kids Daycare Nature Preschool, thanking Wayne in particular for the consideration notification about the water being shut off and everything during the water pipe repairs. She was able to plan for the shut-offs, stay in compliance, and remain open for the family. So, you know, just for Wayne, a thank you for
It's just knowing the system and who
doing the
exists.
communication and
She
keeping
called
people
like 3
informed.
times, she was, you know, so, she was trying to send a letter, but she was just so appreciative of how he was and everybody was, and so easy to work with, and just kept on top of communication, which she
Okay.
said is the biggest thing, you know?
Well, considering it all happened on emergency work, so it's something that's,
What's that?
Yeah.
it wasn't going to
That was-
plan.
Yeah.
So it's just goes to show the work that the guys do, that they do. Good job, Wayne.
Yeah.
There'll be a couple of odd whatevers, you know, coming after that.
Wow.
Can't
I
say.
mean, you know, there's always gonna be something, but, no. But if the effort gets put forward,
Yeah.
you know, it does, means a bunch. And that was, again, what are you gonna do? The pipe breaks.
Right?
Right.
Nothing you can do.
You do it as much as you can, and again, hopefully after the heat wave, all that asphalt you put down isn't gonna just melt and
Yeah.
disappear.
You gonna put that wrench on the shelf? That wrench that was unearthed after 70 years?
Oh, out of the
There's
trench.
a pipe wrench, I think it was a 14-inch pipe wrench underneath the
Yeah.
pipe just before the gate.
Yeah, I don't know what they did with that.
It had a lot of carbuncles on it.
All right, let's see. Okay, other old business, nothing to note on the ZBA appeal. Other than there was a bill in there for the services. Communications Committee.
Nothing on that, we have a meeting tomorrow, first meeting since town meeting where the budgets were approved to update the website and sign on with a company, a vendor, to be able to give us the ability to send out alerts if we have a water main break or we need to do outages or anything like that, so.
Good.
This is our first meeting since, this is gonna be a meeting with the vendor that currently supplies us with our website about what the upgrade, what we want the upgrade to look like.
Yep. And you'll be at that,
Yep.
staying forward, going on with that going forward. Yes, sir. Okay, actually, something else should have come through from new business, I just wanted to mention, I just saw it, and you probably got it too, Wayne, from Michael White, there's gonna be a new proposed contractor's office and storage yard up on Manley Street, which is in our,
Oh, the guy all the way down the end.
yeah, the guy, you know, where the solar farm is down at the end, just before you get to Brockland.
Yeah.
They're kind of putting a building and then some storage in there. That's gonna be going to the planning board for review, so.
What is that district? The district is within the Manley Street pumping station, so that's
Yeah, that's the zone 2 recharge.
Yeah, it's the zone 2 recharge area, goes all the way up, pretty much all the way up that side of Manley Street, all the way up into Brockton,
Okay.
where it actually goes. But that thing is, I think it's this property up in there.
But it's on the other side of the street, where, is it where M&M trucking is?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
him.
it's on
Are
that.
they in the recharge area? They're not in the blue area, what does it matter?
Yeah, they're all in.
It's all part of the area?
Yeah, it's all part of the area,
Yep.
everything that's up in there. But
And he
yeah,
just said, whether he's adding another, because he just went through planning board for something
no,
else.
but that was the one to the side.
Yeah, there's 2 parcels.
Yeah, this one's for the, right up by Manley Street, I think they're putting,
By the
look like
post
they're putting in
office.
a building. And then to the back, kind of wrapped around where the solar panels are, they're showing all kinds of, like outdoor storage and stuff. But I didn't see any, I just literally saw it today. I figured we'll try to get the plans so we can look at it here, give any comments we want to.
So outdoor storage with trucks and things like that with,
Well, what little I got through, they were talking about the parking of vehicles up, would sound like more up towards the street where there's regular parking, and then the gravel type stuff was gonna be,
Whatever he did first, the parking, wherever there's parking is supposed to be impervious, it's supposed to be asphalt.
yeah, it's impervious with oil and water separators.
well, storm scepters?
And then going into retention basins before it infiltrates.
He had like easily 100 trucks parked in there before he sold off.
All, yeah,
All
back,
year
yeah.
manner of truck.
And the thing is, that was just done,
Yeah,
just done, you're just doing it. This is at least coming through. We'll have a plan and we can look at what they're gonna intend to store. I'll get, were you on the email from Mike, or does it just go to?
No.
I didn't receive it.
All right, I can forward to both of you. You can look at it, or I can print it out and get you.
If you can email it, that'd be great.
All right. Then you can at least see what it is, because
Yeah.
what I'd like is for that to be on the agenda for the next meeting,
Yeah.
so we can go over if we have any comments, and we can send them to the planning board. We don't want to get caught behind it, if it's going
No.
through and we don't have the comments out
Right.
yet. And that is all that I have. Dylan, do you have anything you wanted to bring up for the meeting tonight?
No?
Sean?
No, just that, what the
MWWA, Mass Water
Yeah.
Works Association.
yeah, they're having, some opinions on, just the water pumping station buildings throughout the state. Their concerns about no toilets and all this, it's just an ongoing issue that we have. That's it.
Well, the plumbing board made a decision.
We did.
That's within 400 feet.
Right, from 200 to 2,000 square feet, if it's an unmanned, there's a building within 400 feet that no toilet rooms are required, but apparently there's pumping stations that are somewhat at a greater distance than 400 feet to a building. So they'd like to see just no toilet rooms at all.
Yeah.
To be continued.
Right, Wayne,
Yeah.
anything else you want to bring up?
Yep, another matter is the PFAS class action suit. It might be narrowing down because they're asking for, they sent a whole pile of documents for me and David to certify.
Yeah.
So I just want to go through the PFAS numbers that they have.
Well, you got that thing to them about the
Yeah.
additional information.
Yeah,
on the
and
wells.
they piled it all into these documents, but I want to look at their test results to see against mine, to see if, you know, the numbers are all good.
Yeah. Well, those numbers would have come from us anyway.
Yeah, they did some testing and I'm not sure where they came from, but they did get them somehow. And then the other thing is, where the plant is ending up here instead of Norman Ave, at some point you've got to look at a generator for Norman Ave. It doesn't have one. There have been 2 instances during my tenure where we haven't been able to pump water for, the longest was an 8-hour period. The electric company doesn't look at us as a critical thing, so we're like last on the list.
Water?
Yeah. I don't understand it, but we're last on the list, so 2 times it just so happened both the starter failed on this one, which is a long lead item trying to get one, and the Manly generator had been down at the time, so.
We have gas down to there where,
So we have propane there, so it would have
so
to
it'd
be,
be on a propane fired
Yeah.
generator. You have an idea of how much, what the capacity of that would be to run? We'd only be looking to run one of the wells at a time.
well, there's only in Norman Ave, it's a 50 amp well, it's a 50 horse well.
Okay.
So we just have to run that.
That's right, that one doesn't have 2, that's just one well.
Yep.
Might as well get us a price for it.
Yeah.
At least get, talk to a couple of people, get an idea what it'll be, and we can work up on it.
Yep,
Because we'll probably have to go to bid to purchase it.
right.
It's expensive.
Doesn't require.
But at least get an idea and we can put something together. Call up James and tell him, hey, you have to add this in for the. Yeah, because once they do this, it's not, I mean, we're not gonna run the power from the plant
No.
over here out to those wells.
What do you have for any generators at any other areas? I know there's.
Everything else is generated. That's the only place that doesn't have a generator.
Probably should have had one there anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just
I
never,
mean, but you said, we've been out a couple of times for up to 8 hours.
yeah,
So yeah, so it's not, it's a long term. But if we get hit the wrong way, like I
Right.
said, if they're not gonna
Right.
prioritize getting us back online,
hurricanes.
yeah. All right, let's find out how much it'll be.
yeah.
There's a big one at the transfer station. Ever use that?
Is that diesel? I think that
Never
diesel-
gets used.
Yeah, that's diesel. We're not parking a diesel
No.
generator down next to the well.
Never gets used anyways.
I think they get rid of that later in the building if they ever do the building.
Yeah, they built a new one on stilts. They can't get it built for the 450,000 I think was appropriated at town meeting.
What about our truck? Can we ever hear anything on our truck?
It's working its way through. We won't get it into this budget. I was hoping we'd get it in this budget year so we could get a payment in, because the F-550 is falling apart.
Yeah.
It's been down for a week and a half now because the AC clutch seized. And Tom went on vacation, so,
That was 2022.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
unbelievable. Supply chain problems.
Well, it's just
I'm gonna blame it on
because
supply
they
chain.
wanted a Ford. If we didn't have to stick to the Ford, you probably could have had a truck.
$5,800 for a lawyer.
Next meeting, I know a lot of boards and committees are not doing the first meeting of the month because it's gonna be on that holiday week. I can't make it to that meeting. I'm gonna be on vacay.
Yeah, the 4th is a Thursday, I think.
Right.
Our
So
next meeting is July 1st. We usually just sign off on the warrants actually that week, every year traditionally.
Do you want me to swing in and sign warrants? Like,
Yeah, hopefully I'll have, only because, I'll definitely need them signed because it's year end.
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
have them so I don't
Yeah.
encumber.
what do you think the earliest you could have them is?
Huh?
Could you have them?
Ready ahead of time is what you're asking?
Yeah.
What, are you leaving that Saturday?
I'm gonna be gone that whole week. I'll be down at Cape. I mean, I can
Well, I
drive
just
up.
need, as long as these guys are on, I only need 2 signatures.
Yeah, you don't have to sign that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to get James's updated numbers,
Right.
but yeah, if we don't have a lot else we have to go through and do, there's no point in worrying about coming up here just for that. If we get the updated numbers, you can just email them to you. You can be sitting on the beach, take out your phone and
If you
I
wanna,
don't spend a lot of time on the beach and do
I think last year we went almost a month before a meeting, between meetings from 6:20 to 7:17 last year, so.
Must have
or if you
slow
have
pace.
it and you want a Zoom link, I can do that for you as well.
Okay.
Zoom.
Whatever
if you do a Zoom link for him, then it's gotta be, we have to go through a process to open it up to everybody.
No. Well, they'll still have it on this.
Oh, that's right, it's still,
Yeah,
yeah, it's not like it's
that's
not.
what we did during COVID anyway.
Yeah. I don't even remember COVID, it was so long ago.
Well, it officially ended like a year ago, May.
Yeah, we'll bring it back,
Yeah.
Never.
beginning of November.
Right?
So people say, do you want to not have the meeting and just, you want to cancel the meeting and just
Well,
come in and do the warrants?
Yeah, I
And we'll get James's information and just set, and then make the next actual meeting would be July 15th.
Yes, after that.
well, that's
one.
consistent with last year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's make a motion?
I'll make a motion to make
Next
July
meeting.
15th
July
our
15th.
next.
Because we have to change, don't we have the meetings at the town hall posted for the year ahead of
That
time?
doesn't, no, that goes, in January. It's not now. I post those in January.
But isn't there one already shown that we would have one on July 1st?
I just send over,
Yeah, we just have to send over a cancellation notice for
Yep.
July 1st. Okay. All right, so made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
No meeting on July 1st. And you'll just give us a quick shout when you have the warrants ready to come in and go over and sign. All righty. Anything else?
Do we have executive session?
Do we have anything back on that?
He just said that, you know, I went with your will and you guys, so he's looking to see if he can find something.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's nothing big, nothing to talk about on that
No.
night. Yeah. Then we don't need to do that.
Perfect.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
At 6:20? Aye?
19.
Aye?
Aye, yes.
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 Aye, aye. We're done.